Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling when you're facing this massive hurdle? Maybe it's an addiction or career stagnation, or maybe it's just this chronic sense that you're stuck.
Mm.
We tend to see that as something external, you know, something the universe just threw in our path.
But the sources we've pulled today suggest something radically different and, frankly, a much more empowering way of looking at it,
Right.
that sometimes the most profound adversity is just. It's nature preparing you for growth. I mean, think about the metaphors we use. A forest fire.
Right.
It seems destructive, but it's essential to clear space. It opens seeds that can only sprout under that intense heat. Or a star collapsing. That implosion isn't the end, it's the setup for a supernova.
A massive breakdown preceding a massive breakthrough.
Exactly, I love that. The universe isn't against us, it's just, well, it's just following its own laws of physics.
So let's unpack this. We are looking at sources today that say the real obstacle isn't the debt or the bad job, it's the internal barrier.
Precisely. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're exploring this idea that the mountain is you. It means we have to reconcile two coexisting parts of ourselves.
Two parts.
Yeah. There's the conscious self. That's the part that bought the self-help books, the one who knows exactly what you should be doing. And then there's the unconscious self,
The one holding you back.
the one that's actively building the barrier to hold you back.
So the real mountain isn't the thing in front of you. It's the unstable foundation inside of you.
Us. A foundation built over years from, tiny traumas, coping mechanisms that were once really helpful but are now just completely outdated.
It's the version of you that got you through your past,
Mm-hmm.
but is now blocking your future.
Right.
And that brings us right to the mechanism of that barrier,
Mm.
self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us, I think, we see that as a sign of low willpower, maybe even self-hatred. You look at a disastrous habit and you just think, I must subconsciously want to fail.
And that's the really shocking truth in the sources. Self-sabotage is rarely about wanting to punish yourself. It's almost always driven by an unconscious need being fulfilled by that exact behavior.
Wow. Okay, so the sabotage isn't the problem.
It's the symptom. It's a symptom of a much deeper protective impulse.
Mm.
To stop the sabotage, you have to figure out what benefit it's giving you.
How does that actually look in the real world? It sounds so counterintuitive.
Well, let's look at Carl Jung's own life. As a kid, he was miserable at school. After an accident, this thought popped into his head, maybe I won't have to go back now.
Uh-huh.
And soon after, he starts having these uncontrollable fainting spells, a neurosis. He realized later it was a substitute for legitimate suffering. His unconscious mind created the fainting to get him out of a situation his conscious mind wouldn't or couldn't deal with.
So the fainting was a form of protection, not punishment.
Exactly. The behavior, the fainting, the procrastination, the overspending, it's a twisted form of self-care. It's an older version of you trying to protect the modern you from what it sees as a threat.
That reframes everything.
It does. I mean, we see this all the time. People who constantly sabotage their professional success. They might be fulfilling an unconscious need for time and energy to, say, make art, something they've neglected.
So getting the big corporate job feels like a betrayal of that deeper need.
And the unconscious just throws a wrench in the works. Or think about relationship sabotage. Someone who constantly picks unstable partners often has a deep, deep fear of being truly alone.
The drama keeps them occupied.
It keeps them engaged, yeah. It helps them avoid that silent terror of having to figure out who they are on their own.
So you're saying the surface problem, the debt, the unhealthy food, the fight with a partner, that's just a distraction.
It is. It is. Think of someone with an extreme phobia of being a car passenger. They think the problem is the car. But it's not about the car. That phobia, it often represents a deeper fear.
Fear of what?
Loss of control, or even just the metaphorical fear of moving forward in life. So if you just try to fix the car anxiety, you're just ripping off a Band-Aid. You haven't dealt with the real wound underneath.
And the unconscious has powerful ways of keeping this state going.
Right.
Through these negative associations. Tell me about the money example.
This is so critical. If you grew up associating wealth with, say, being a bad person, rich people are cold, your brain's confirmation bias works overtime to protect your self-concept as a good person.
So getting rich would create an identity crisis.
A huge one. So your anxiety around money, your inability to save, that sudden loss of a great opportunity, it's your mind trying to protect your morality. The anxiety is just reflecting that limiting belief. You're actually resisting abundance to protect who you think you are.
Okay, so if the resistance comes from protecting an old identity, then the next hurdle has to be resisting anything new, even if it's obviously good for you.
Precisely. Our psychology is it's hardwired for what's familiar. We seek the known because the known feels safe. It feels like control.
So anything foreign, even a state of happiness, can feel uncomfortable.
It registers as discomfort. And the crucial mistake people make is they confuse that temporary discomfort of the unknown with a sign that something is wrong or bad, but it's just your brain's safety alarm going off.
Which brings us to this idea of the upper limit theory, right? That we can only handle so much success.
That's from Gay Hendricks. Yeah. Everyone has a specific set tolerance for joy or success or just general good in their life, a sort of psychological baseline.
And when you go past it,
When you surpass that baseline, you get a big promotion, you fall in love, the unconscious senses unfamiliar territory. And it triggers self-sabotage to pull you back down to what feels normal.
how does that actually show up? Is it like a big dramatic meltdown?
Not at all. It can be really subtle, like picking an argument with your partner right before a big trip, or suddenly developing an inexplicable backache, or just this nagging guilt that stops you from enjoying your success.
The goal is just to get back to the baseline.
Get back to what's familiar. The only way out is to acclimatize. You have to gradually stretch your capacity for good until a new, higher standard of happiness becomes your new normal.
Another pattern I found really compelling in the sources was this idea of uprooting, the constant need for a fresh start.
Uprooting is exhausting. It's constantly seeking a new job, a new city, starting new hobbies over and over. This person is comfortable with the energy of sprouting, the beginning, the excitement of the beginning, but they're terrified of blossoming, of deep attachment, of complexity, of the commitment that requires you to resolve conflict. It's a way to avoid the deep internal work that requires you to stay put.
So if you're always running, the only solution is to stop running.
Stop running. Sit with the discomfort. Build something durable right where you are. Otherwise, you become the person with 1,000 beginnings and zero endings.
And the final hurdle here, something that's often seen as a strength, is perfectionism.
Oh, perfectionism is maybe the greatest hindrance to just showing up. It's not about high standards. It's a deep fear of failure, of being exposed, of feeling vulnerable.
Because if you demand that your work be flawless on the first try,
The fear of missing that mark just paralyzes you. So you avoid the work altogether. We have to get it through our heads that mastery never comes from getting it right once. It comes from showing up imperfectly, consistently, and just doing the work. The focus has to shift from perfection to just progress.
let's shift now from these emotional hurdles to the actual cognitive traps, the ways we think that keep that mountain standing.
These are the tools the unconscious uses to justify staying put. One of the most common is what the sources call psychic thinking. It's a total detachment from reality. We just assume we know what other people are thinking about us.
Or, and this is a big one, that our feelings are predictive.
Yes, that feeling scared means something bad is definitely going to happen. And this gets amplified by the spotlighting effect. We operate as if our lives are a performance and everyone is intensely focused on our every tiny mistake.
It is so liberating when you finally realize that most people are way too busy worrying about their own spotlight to even notice yours.
It really is. But let's get into what I think is the most impactful cognitive trap here. Anxiety is often the result of logical lapses. We think of anxious people as overthinkers,
Right.
but the sources suggest they're often underthinkers. They stop the mental process way too soon.
That sounds completely backward. How does that work?
Okay, so when you're facing a frightening scenario, like a big presentation, the anxious mind jumps from the exposition, I have to give a presentation, straight to the catastrophic conclusion.
It will fail. I'll be ridiculed. I'll be fired.
Exactly. They skip the most important part, the response and the aftermath.
They never actually think through, okay, if it goes badly, what's my immediate response? How will I cope? What is the actual long-term consequence?
Exactly. Mental strength is not hoping that nothing goes wrong. It's the secure belief that you have the capacity to handle it if it goes wrong, and that you can recover. By thinking through the whole scenario, including your recovery, you steal the power from the panic.
And if we don't complete that logical chain, we also don't process the emotion,
Yeah.
which leads to this emotional backlog.
Neurologically, this is fascinating. Emotions aren't abstract. They create a physical response, a micromuscular activation. When we suppress anger or fear, we are literally clenching muscles to stop ourselves from expressing it.
And over time, that builds up.
It stores as chronic tension, relationship stress in the neck, fear in the stomach. Our bodies are speaking in these voiceless symbols about the emotions we've refused to process.
So how do we release that? What's the healthy way to process?
It's a three-step path. First, clarity. Pinpoint what happened and why you feel this way. Second, validate. You have to acknowledge the feeling without judgment. Tell yourself, it's okay to feel this anger.
That acceptance is key.
It is. It lets the body physically relax. And third, a course correction. Figure out what action you need to take to prevent that trigger from happening again. You have to let emotions pass through you, not get stuck in you. And all this inner work, understanding the resistance, the traps, it brings us to the final and most essential phase, the path to action. And this all hinges on one thing: learning to disconnect action from feeling.
This is where we all fail, isn't it?
Yeah.
We wait to feel motivated. I'll start when I feel inspired. I'll exercise when I feel energetic.
And that is the trap. Our feelings are wired for comfort, for safety, for the status quo. They are inherently resistant to growth because growth means entering the unknown.
So we're never going to feel like doing the hard, uncomfortable thing.
You will not feel happy or motivated about it. You have to override that feeling. You have to guide yourself with logic and vision, not with fleeting emotions.
And the best way to start, without setting off all those self-sabotage alarms we just talked about, is through the power of the microshift.
This is the most practical insight of all. Breakthroughs are almost never spontaneous. They are tipping points that happen after consistent, mundane, almost boring work.
Like the penny doubling analogy.
Exactly. The dramatic payoff comes from that steady, tiny shift every single day. The power of a microshift is that the change is so small, going to bed 10 minutes earlier, drinking half a glass of water, that it doesn't trigger the threat response in your unconscious brain.
So you're essentially tricking your own protective self by making the change too small to be scary.
Precisely. Permanent change requires microshifts because they're sustainable. They build a whole new framework before the old self even realizes it's being replaced.
And eventually the change isn't a terrifying leap. It's just inertia.
You stop trying to be the person you wish you were, and you start acting like the person you intend to become on purpose.
And that requires a willingness to drop the act, doesn't it? Let go of that old identity that needed to please everyone.
Absolutely. The most powerful version of yourself is willing to be disliked, willing to accept that not everyone gets it. You stop letting the fear of vulnerability run your life, and you start focusing on principles, on cause and effect, not inspiration. The mountain dissolves when you realize the person you were trying to protect was just a temporary version of yourself anyway.
Okay, let's bring this full circle. We started with the idea that adversity is necessary for transformation. The fire is essential.
And the final piece of this is realizing that the mountains, they were gifts. They were necessary pivot points. They were opportunities. The ultimate work of self-mastery is realizing that if you are responsible for holding yourself back, you are absolutely capable of moving yourself forward.
And when you start running from the discomfort of growth, you find the complete radical freedom you were seeking all along.
That's it. The discomfort of staying put has to become greater than the fear of change. That is the tipping point.
So here's the challenge I want to leave you with today. Identify one microshift, one tiny action that is too small to fail that you can commit to right now. And then take some time this week to uncover one subconscious commitment your self-sabotage is protecting. What's the fear? What's the benefit it's giving you? And ask yourself, who must I stop being in order to become who I am?